Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, where our mantra is to educate, enlighten, entertain. Passionate World Talk Radio is a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. And, folks, this is a really special show today. And if I get emotional, which I probably will, so be it. This is a topic so close to my heart, and if any of you have heard me, you know why. I want to encourage everyone to listen to this show, because if you are not already affected by someone with Alzheimer's, chances are you will be, most definitely. I was 3 times. So you will definitely need to watch this film. I highly recommend watching this documentary, which will touch your heart. And I'm going to introduce my guest today. I'm going to do a brief introduction because there's so much to unpack here. So with me today is Cynthia Stone, who is an award-winning filmmaker. She has been creating social justice documentaries-style pieces for nearly 3 decades. She is a producer and director of the documentary Keys, Bags, Names, Words, which is a new documentary about people with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. This documentary inspires a shift for carers from hopelessness to action and connection. And also with me today is Jill Harmon, who was a caregiver for her husband Don for 14 years. Jill shows us we can connect with our loved ones even after they can no longer communicate. Jill is a true example of love, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. And before I forget, I forgot to say a disclaimer, the views of the guests may not represent those of the host or the station. But I want to welcome with me today Cynthia Stone and Jill Harmon. Welcome to Chatting with Betsy.
Thanks, Betsy. Thank you. So happy to be here.
You are welcome.
My pleasure.
It is my pleasure and honor. And I just want to say this right off the bat. And I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to Jill Harmon and Cynthia Stone. I saw this documentary, folks, and I'll tell you what, this documentary needs to be seen by everyone, from young to elderly, medical students, colleges, grammar schools, where YMCAs, YMHAs. This needs to be seen globally. So I highly recommend, but when I'm going to have the website in the blog, to go on the website and find out how you can watch this documentary, because senior centers, nursing facilities, this needs to be seen. I was deeply touched by this documentary, and that is why I'm so honored to be discussing this documentary today with Cynthia Stone and Jill Harmon. Cynthia, I'll start with you.
Really, thank you for that grand introduction. Really kind.
Oh, you're welcome. I get so excited. And don't mind me, because sometimes my brain or my mouth get ahead of each other.
Very good.
How did you go about having the idea for this wonderful documentary?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I was actually approached by folks at UCSF at the Global Brain Health Institute. They had done a project called Hearsay, where it's an oral history of people who have dementia, Alzheimer's or other types of dementia, or people who care for someone, a loved one, or perhaps they're a nurse or a doctor. Just a compilation of stories that became a book, and also a reader's theater. And at the end of that experience, and I will tell you, Jill was one of the people in that oral history book that was part of my initial research. But after they did the Reader's Theater, the folks at GBHI said, wow, those stories are so powerful, we have to make a film. And that's how they originally reached out to me. And I hadn't at that point been impacted by dementia. I didn't know anyone really. My mother, who lived with us, had mild cognitive impairment but was extremely high functioning at that point. But it just really intrigued me to want to explore more how I could protect my own brain health, but also how I could tell a story that was so heartbreaking, which for anyone who's experienced this knows we didn't want to be Pollyannish about it or shy away from those realities at all, but also how to tell it with hope and to the magic that happens, the moments of connection, and to really, give people hope around this topic for the time when they might face it themselves.
It definitely shows a connection, and I have to say this because I've been saying this for at least 7 years. We need to personalize this disease with names and faces. That's what your documentary does. It puts a name and a face to not only the person who has dementia, but to the caregiver, like Jill Harmon, and the connection. Yeah. Jill, you and I have so much in common. And I know that you probably developed a deeper love connection with your husband, John, during caregiving.
That's absolutely true. And I saw a quote by you you mentioned unconditional love. And that's absolutely the truth. When I've been on the Q&As after we show the presentations, which is an offer that we offer people that want us to come, is that connection. And they chose us because they could see it, and I felt it, and I still feel it. And people will say to me, "How can you watch this?" And I said, the first time was tough. After that, it's a celebration because the film gives me back my husband and my love and our connection. I see it and I feel it, and I sit there smiling, watching each presentation. And I didn't expect that. But, yes, you know what that feels like, that deep love, the humor you can have, the joy you can have, the physical touch you can have. They're there. They're an individual. They have a disease, but they're an individual. And they say that clearly in our presentation of the documentary. It's a human being there. Don't forget, and be in their reality. Don't try to change them. Don't get them into an argument when they can't help what their reality and their concepts and all are. That's where they are, and it's imperative that we meet them where they are and not compare them to what they were or what you expect them to be or what you want them to be.
Oh, I love you, Jill.
No.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, please.
No, it's because I say this all the time, but for the audience to hear it from another caregiver is just, hits the nail right on the head. And I want to tell the audience, because I did see the whole documentary, when you look at Jill talking to Don, you could see the love in their eyes. And the way Don held your hand and he squeezed it, they know. Mm-hmm. They know our voice. Yes, they do.
They know our emotion. They know our emotion. And they may not be able to articulate it. But one time I said, I love you. Do you love me? And this is when he could still talk, and he said, yep, you betcha. And I said, well, how will I know you love me? And he said, look at my eyes. Isn't that beautiful? Out of nowhere came that phrase and that connection. And it's there, and even when they can't articulate it.
Absolutely. And even with children, I mean, my son was in his 20s, well, mid-20s, when his dad, my husband Matt, was diagnosed at the age of 56. And, our children can learn so many valuable life lessons if we set the example. And I say that education is important. When my mother-in-law, when she had Alzheimer's in 2000, there wasn't any information 23 years ago like there is today.
Mine was 16 years ago when I started, and they didn't talk about frontal temporal lobe, and we still don't. And that's one of my new crusades is to bring out frontal temporal lobe and the other kinds of dementia. Not Alzheimer's, yes, very, very serious, but there are plenty of people that have frontal temporal lobe and they've never heard about it. They don't know a thing about it. I know Bruce Willis has it, so there's a name now, celebrity connected to it. But when I started, it was hit or miss. I had to learn on my own, and I certainly had UCSF for doctor's appointments. But as far as strategies and how to be a caregiver, it had to come from me, and it was a hit and miss and trial, and I came up with some good things that I like to share to people because it made a real difference, but I had to live it, and I don't regret it. I wasn't angry. He made me a better person.
Absolutely. Jill, I don't want to leave you out, Cynthia. I agree with that. Because
I generally, in these interviews, just like to be quiet and let Jill talk. So how about it?
Okay.
It's not fair. It's not fair. This is her thing. She did this.
No. I think what people can learn from both of you is incredible and super helpful. So I'm so thrilled that people can really take advantage of everything that you've learned,
What I also liked in your documentary, Cynthia, is that you were talking to someone about music and how music helps those who have dementia. And that's true. I saw that with Matt. He loved Johnny Cash. I would play Johnny Cash when I was had to give him a shower, shave him at the dentist when he went for his cleaning. I said, put on Johnny Cash, he'll be fine. It's music, and what, Jill, you're right. There's so many different dementias that people don't realize that, just like there's different types of cancer. And 6 or 7 years ago, this is what I told people, because I got in my car and I did videos. That's how I got discovered by Jeannie White as the station manager of Passion World Talk Radio. And I would tell people, get out of the dementia closet and put a spotlight on this disease and the name and the face, and stop being afraid about what people will think if you start talking about it. We need to talk about it. And when I first started on the radio station, I started talking on Jeannie White's show, and it was very hard to get caregivers to come on and share their story. They did not want to share their story. So I'm delighted that people are coming out of the dementia closet and they are showing their journeys. I see it on Instagram. I see it on Facebook. More and more people are speaking up, and I say hallelujah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big part of the film, is just to lessen that stigma and, really just talk about strategies people can use and, and also what we can do to prevent our own, to bolster our own brain health, things around prevention. And I remember Jill said in the interview, she didn't want to talk about it with people at first because, she thought it would lessen Don's dignity, but over time she realized that was just part of who he was. And then she really celebrated being able to go out with him, share that with people. And you were like a teacher, right, Jill, in a way?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I did teaching for 40 years, so it comes natural, I think. But it was true. Don was so admired because he was so capable. And when he was so lethargic, or he was flat, his personality was flat, and he couldn't organize or plan or figure out what to do, and I was still trying to figure out what's going on with him. Is this diabetes? Is this from his heart disease? What is this that's happening? And then when I got the diagnosis, it was then, oh, okay. And I didn't know anybody that had this. My parents were vital. His parents were vital. Nobody had this around me. And now it's very much around me. It's like I'm a magnet now, for conversations. And I think I stimulate them as well, because I want people to feel comfortable with the person that they care about that is suffering and who needs to be seen as a human being, that needs attention, who needs a handheld. You can sing to him if you can't play an instrument. I would sing to Don, and when he thought I was crummy, he'd raise his eyebrows. Where he looked, because he couldn't talk at that point, and I go, okay. But I always had music on for him, and he loved it. He really loved it.
Yeah.
And art, the film brings out art. Cynthia, tell me about the art. It's so good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's just funny. Yeah, one of the people, I'll address the music for a second. I know Don loved John Denver, and you're saying
Me
Matt
too.
loved Johnny Cash. Yeah. And so there is something very interesting about music that one of the people in the film was really trying to find the scientific proof for why this happens. But her contention was that music, kind of between, if you have somebody who has dementia, and if you can identify with them, specific pieces of music that were meaningful to them from, say, ages 17 or 18 to 25 or 30, it seems that those pieces of music are can be very impactful and even kind of stimulate some memories, kind of bring people back to their past, that sort of thing. And this person from the Global Brain Health Institute was trying to use music as a therapy so that they would, listen to music, their personal playlist of music for a certain time during each day. And then that she was trying to see if that would help their cognition over time. So that's something she was doing. I thought was very interesting. But yeah, art, somebody says in the documentary, art can sometimes really help connect people to themselves. And in the documentary, there is a theater group where everyone in the cast either has dementia or is caring for someone with dementia. Care home manager is in that group, and they tell their life story to audiences made up of regular folks, but also politicians and doctors and people, hospital administrators, nurses, people who would come into contact with people with dementia. So they were trying to really advocate for their rights, just to build awareness, lessen stigma. I know, and they also were really the time that they had as a group during the rehearsals was really helpful for them in terms of, just having a community. One of the big preventative things you can do is to learn new things, be in a social situation, to do activities, keep your brain really active, and also to be able to share that experience, because it's really easy to feel isolated. So, and loneliness is a big risk factor for dementia. So, So that whole theatrical production, the rehearsals, the community, all of that was really very powerful for those folks and feeling, feeling connected, helping their brain health. It just is, so art is very powerful.
It is. I was very touched by many things in the documentary, and I love John Denver. I'll tell you what, John Denver music helped me get through 10 years of caregiving, because I'd go into the bathroom, put on John Denver, and pretend I was in the Rocky Mountains or wherever he was singing about. It helped me tremendously. And, I'm all for education and advocacy, and I tell caregivers, because I have a support group on Facebook, we need to educate ourselves, because it's a better experience for the one we're taking care of and for ourselves. And there's more information now than there ever was. And because I'm a Jersey girl, I tell people, hey, if you could, binge on Netflix or whatever you watch, you could also binge on watching videos on how to be a better caregiver and having information. Because I just tell it like it is. I'm my father's daughter.
No, that's true. And you know what? Where I come from too is many of the things that the person with the disease has is the same thing that the caregivers need. They need connection. They need affection. They need appreciation. They need to have an identity. And we don't speak to that.
True.
They need it as well, and I think this is why the movie resonates so strongly when on the connection part, is because it is identifying that, and it's giving a voice to the caregivers. The one thing that I noticed in our audience, and I brought it up, is that there's very few men in the audience, and my experience over these 16 years total is an advocacy for caregivers. There needs to be some strategies and workshop for men as well as, and I don't mean in isolation, but for them to feel more comfortable taking care of their wife that may have this disease or does have the disease, because many of them just say, I can't handle it, and maybe they can't. Every situation's different. I don't have a magic wand on this, but if we could help men feel more comfortable taking care of their wives with this, that would be a big assist.
That's true, and that's very true. And men, and I've done many shows talking about this, because men, I'm 65, I'm going to be 66 in December. So men my age and older, are brought up with, you got to suck it up, buttercup. You can't show emotion, you can't cry, and that is wrong. And we have to change the way we raise our boys, that they can show emotion. And, men, they want to fix, they want to fix things. I wanted to fix things and fix people, but you can't always fix someone. And some things, just can't be fixed. And it's okay for men to share their emotion. You know what I'd love for you to do? A documentary on Cynthia. I'll give you a job. I'll give you.
Everybody keeps asking me what I'm going to do next, so I'd appreciate that.
You know what? Like after caregiving, the after caregiving journey, when people deal with the post-traumatic and the grieving and their identity. And grieving is a whole nother thing, because I don't know if you experienced this, Jill, but I did a video on it, my own personal video. Why do people say, be strong? You're not supposed to cry. Really?
Aren't you over it yet? Aren't you over it yet? I have friends that say, you're taking this very hard. And they've lost their spouse, but it was a year ago, and mine's now almost 3. And I said, there's no time on this kind of thing.
That's right.
And, of course, it has a lot to do with what connections that you have with that person. And obviously you had a very, very deep one, and so did I. And you don't just knock off 40 years, in 6 months or something. And, I still see a counselor about it, and I still go through waves. And I'm better now than I was, and then your age is so limiting sometimes about when this happens, when you lose them. If you're, post-retirement, like I am, I retired early for him, and then, I'm not at an age in my 70s that somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, you want a job, nor do I really want one. But I don't have a lot of the options I did as a younger person. So the impact on frontal temporal lobe, since they get it generally earlier, and they live longer than people with Alzheimer's. I've been doing all this research about it, is that it affects you financially even stronger. And then on the personal level, like I said, your options as that person surviving may be very limited. And so you have to work out of being isolated and redefine who you are. And I'll tell you, this whole project, and by the grace of God, Cynthia involving me, has been remarkable for me. I wanted to make a difference. Don wanted to make a difference. And this is why we joined the Memory and Aging Center study, 14 years ago. And I didn't know we were going to be in a book, and I knew I was interviewed all the time, and I did surveys, and I was hoping his brain could be analyzed, but COVID shut that down. But the movie explained better about the damaged brain versus a more early brain from an autopsy, what it would bring. But it's been so meaningful for me. I have purpose and I have meaning, and that's what I wanted this. It's got to be bigger than what you and I have experienced, or Cynthia with her mother. I mean, we've got to share this. We've got to help people get out of the closet about this.
Yes, absolutely. I had no idea. When I went in my car to raise awareness on early onset Alzheimer's, I had no idea that it would lead me to what I'm doing now. I wanted, was anyone to give me an interview. Just let me tell Matt's story. And Jeannie White, she saw one of my videos. And that's how I got with Passion World Talk Radio, because she interviewed me, and then she said, well, would you speak weekly on the show I'm going to have? And I said, well, I'm not a public speaker, but sure. I'll talk. And then after a year, she said, Betsy, you should have your own show. I said, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to interview people. She said, you'll learn. And, when I did videos and posted them about Matt, I never considered that it was a teaching tool for other people, that people would learn from my videos. And it's very, very inspiring and powerful when people tell you, I learned from you. I learned from Matt.
Yeah.
And, I tell veteran caregivers, well, I know I do, and I think you feel this way also, Jill, that I feel that we need to help the newbies, as I call them, navigate these waters so they don't drown. I was drowning. There wasn't the help available. And I'm so glad that I found Facebook and went on support groups, because I couldn't go in person, to help me and to realize, hey, other people are having the same problems as me. We're facing the same things together. And there's, strength in numbers, as they say.
Yeah, and I think for people who aren't facing this issue yet themselves, if they want to help, I think is to help caregivers, to provide respite, to volunteer, to be with someone who has dementia so the caregiver can get respite. is so valuable. I think as people, we can do so much to bring people into the community, to integrate those with dementia into society. And I have a friend whose husband had dementia, and he loved photography, and so she reached out to a local community college, and a professor who teaches photography would spend 2 days a week with her husband just walking through San Francisco, taking photographs, and then coming back and, manipulating them on the computer. So, things like that, ways we all could help a bit more to, give people respite or to find some connection with someone who is experiencing Alzheimer's or another kind of dementia is really valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I felt like I was abandoned. We were abandoned by friends, family, even church, and it's my son Josh. He's so good. He was so good with his dad. Josh has a cognitive disability, but he understood Alzheimer's better than so-called intelligent people. So when someone at church said to Josh, they said to Josh, I just call your father, but he doesn't know who I am. So Josh said, Bill, it's not rocket science. You call up my father and you say, hey, Matt, this is Brother Bill. How are you today? It's that easy. I had a laugh when Josh told me that. That's because, out of the mouth of babes, as they say.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
And, I think it's important when people say, and they say it all the time, and over the years they had, what can I do for you? I'd like to help you. I care about you. I want to share the journey with you. And they were all women, my lady friends or whatever. And what I've learned is we need to be specific about how they can help us. And that way, it could be going to the grocery store. It could be being there so you could take a nap. It could be, but be specific so that they can focus on, I can do that. Because when you leave it all open, they can really find reasons not to do anything or don't have the time to do that. But some of these small things, like Betsy, what you experienced and I did, we needed it. I was isolated too. Don's men's friend did not come. His own family members came just hardly, and they lived 3 blocks away.
Oh, my goodness.
His son says, I've lost my dad. I lost him a long time ago. I said, David, he's there. He knows who you are. Take a look at his eyes. Take a look at those eyes. And I'm going to leave you in the room with him, and let me know what you feel. And when he came out, he says, Mom, you're right. You're right. He knows me. I said, yes, he can't articulate it, but look at his eyes. He connects with your spirit and the emotions that are going on. And he felt it, and he came back because he kind of distanced himself for a while because he was in his own sorrow of losing this capable man. But I integrated my grandchildren, my little granddaughters, early on. And they fed him. They said, he needs new power pants. That's what it called, his diapers. They couldn't use the word diapers. I'm thinking, dignity. You've got to give them dignity. So I came up with the name Power Pants. And she says, Graham, you need to get some more Power Pants on Papa. So and it's wonderful. And they would make the chicken sounds with him. He liked to make, when he couldn't talk, he made buck, 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 chicken sounds like that, even in Trader Joe's. And you could laugh and have joy with him, and he gave leaves to everybody. This is it's such a special thing because of course it's fall and leaves are falling, and my friends will say, I never look at trees the same. I pick up leaves all the time like Don did, and he'd give it to homeless people or somebody having a garage sale or a neighbor or a friend. He just admired those, and that's why you see him in the movie. And he put that big one behind my ear. He loved leaves. That was his fascination. And, it was very cool. Very cool. We had funny moments. Oh, my gosh. I bet you did, too. Hysterical moments.
Yes.
Hysterical moments. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a story
definitely.
to share, Jill?
Which
Do you want
one?
to share a story?
Cynthia.
I don't know.
Betsy, you want to hear a story?
Sure.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Okay, I was taken to his doctor, and so he was all seated in seatbelt and all. And so I said, I'm going to come around now, and we'll go to see Dr. Montleone. So I'm coming around the car, and by God, he's out of the car like a flash, and he's up by the shrubs, and he's taking a leak. And I'm going, oh, okay. 'Cause, we had to watch pet bowls and all kinds of stuff. Wherever when he had to go. And so I had to wait there for until I finished. But I looked up above his head, and there was a woman in a dental chair having a procedure done, and she totally freaks out. Of course. It starts batting up the dentist, and things are flying, and the dentist turns around and is like, oh, my God, and runs to the window and brings the shade down. And I just say, okay, Don, we're out of here. Come on, let's get in the car, and off we go. So
that I can relate to that. I didn't know this. I mean, when Matt was able to take a walk by himself,
yes,
he would pee out in public, he told me. I said, Matt, you can't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm thankful he didn't get arrested, but I have a funny story. We were in a department store, and Josh comes over to me, and he is laughing hysterical, tears coming down from laughing. I said, what's funny, Josh? He goes, Daddy said the F word. And I said, my husband was a deacon, a Sunday school teacher, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I said, Matt, did you say the F word? He goes, yeah, that's a cluster F in here. And he said out loud, well, we just cracked up laughing because what else can you do? And then he started cursing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to laugh. I mean, as Matt progressed, he would he'd say, oh, I love you so much. Thank you guys for helping me. And the next minute he's cursing us out that we don't do anything.
Or who are you?
Yeah.
I love you, but who are you? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
He walked out of the car at Trader Joe's. I ran in to get something, and I said, I want you to sit right here and seatbelt, and I'm going to run in and get these muffins, and I'm going to be right out. So please stay right here. Lock the car. I run like a sprinter, and I get back. He's not there. And, of course, I freak out. It's 32 degrees, and it's Christmas time. And I go in, and I said, could somebody please help me with security? I've got to find my husband. He has dementia. And they said, well, what does he look like? Well, there is a strategy I come up with it later. Anyhow, I say he has gray hair and he's wearing red, and he's not very tall. Well, look what's in Trader Joe's. How many people have gray hair? It's Christmas. Everybody has red on. Oh, my God. We were just freaked. Anyway, the long and the short of it is a friend of him took him home, and my caregiver, I had her go there and wait, and he showed up. But it's so important if they're wanderers to take a current picture, particularly of what they're wearing.
Yes.
Like I took him to a show, and he went in the men's room and went out the back door. But then I could show him the picture of what he was wearing and what he looked like after the Trader Joe's experience. And that helped us so much. So that picture is really important. And then I put a key tag on his shoe later, those little tags, and that way I could track him. And that helped because you can't depend on a cell phone. They can't use that, and they're going to lose it or whatever. So those are some strategies that really helped me later on.
Yes, that is a good one because I heard that, and not every town, and it's called different names in different towns, different states, but in our town we have a Safe and Sound program. And I had Matt's mom registered, and I had Matt registered, which is a good thing because Matt became lost one day. They found him within 30 minutes, but he was in their system. in the computer system. I had an idea, where he was, and I said, he won't be a problem. And I was able to answer the phone at that time.
Yeah, we're over 500,000 people here, and we don't have that, but adjoining communities do. And so I just thought, well, wait a minute, what can I put on him to track him? So, and then when I gave his shoes away, the friend said, I really love Don's shoes. So glad we wear the same size. But what's that little square on there? And I'm taking it off the shoe. So anyway.
Yeah, that is, we come up with these, great ideas. We become improv actors, especially when they hallucinate. Great improv acting of, Matt
what did you do?
would hallucinate.
Did Matt hallucinate? And what did you do when that happened?
Matt started to hallucinate, and he started to see his deceased family. And he would tell me they came to visit. And I said, oh, that's nice, Matt. How's your dad doing? Can you tell your dad I said hi, or your mom, your brother? But when he was agitated because he saw men, and then he was fearful for my safety, I'd say, okay, Matt, Josh and I are going to get the men out of here. And Josh and I put on a production. Okay, get out. Goodbye. Leave Matt alone. And just to reassure Matt that he's safe.
See,
these people
so
are gone.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. That's like when my friend Hope, I went there and to visit her at the Alzheimer's home, and she's so upset, she's so agitated, and I said, Hope, and she thought I was her daughter, and I said, I didn't say I wasn't Hilda, I just pretended I was. Anyway, I said, what's going on? And she says, we haven't paid our bill yet in this hotel, and they're going to kick us out on the street. And I said, well, just a minute. I will take care of that. Let Hilda take care of it. And then I went up and I had the desk people pretend that we were in the hotel and we had paid the bill. But you're absolutely right, Betsy. That's exactly. Meet them where they are. Don't get angry. Find a solution for their despair. That's excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
We have to be detectives. We have to be detectives, advocates, educators. You and I, Jill, we have so much in common. We turned our pain into a purpose. And
that's right.
We just want to help educate other people. And I just think that, the documentary, folks can say the name again, Keys, Bags, Names, Words. It is a must-see documentary. And I'm just so honored to have had you on, Cynthia Stone, you, Jill Harmon, and
thank you,
to talk about this wonderful documentary. I could talk to you both for 2 more hours. I think we need to do another. I think we need to do another show at some point, because this is such it's so important.
It's a global
folks.
Problem. It's a global problem.
Epidemic. Yes.
And that film tells you that it's just going to increase. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
I just wanted to mention for people who need resources. I just want to mention a couple of things. You can go to our website, Keys. It's keysbagsnameswords.com. You can click on the find out more about how to host a screening, but also there's a resources page on there. One of the resources is the Memory and Aging Center that has so many good advice and tips and information. And also, if you wanted to host a screening, we have our team has a whole toolkit with discussion questions and background information about the disease and all of that. So lots of resources for people to tap into at keysbagsnameswords.com.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough, Cynthia Stone, for
thank you so much.
Making this documentary. The name is phenomenal. And thank you, Jill Harmon, for sharing Don with us. My father-in-law was Don, by the way. And
my
sharing.
sister Betsy.
Oh, was it? That's funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's heart-touching, folks. This needs to be seen. It needs to be seen. It is an epidemic. I said this 7 years ago. It is a global epidemic, and it's only going to grow. And don't think you're immune. No one's immune from any type of dementia. There's no cure right now. There are no survivors except the caregivers. And some of the caregivers die during caregiving or after, and that's a whole nother show topic. But
that's true.
We need to be front and center. People that had breast cancer, AIDS, they were out on the streets. They were talking about what they were going through. Why can't people who have dementia do the same thing, or caregivers? I am so happy. It thrills my heart to watch this documentary and to see people who have dementia speaking up, speaking out, caregivers speaking up. This is something I had hoped for way back when. It's here now, and I am so honored, and it's such a privilege, really, and an honor to have watched this documentary and to interview you, Cynthia Stone, and you, Jill Harmon. You both have touched my heart. I am
so
going to be sharing this. Go ahead.
And yeah, I was just going to say, I hope people know that the film is a hopeful film. It talks a lot about things we can do to make your life easier, to connect with your loved ones, to make their lives easier, to prevent dementia. 30 to 40% of cases can be prevented. So, through lifestyle changes and things like that. So there's a lot to learn about the things we can do to make to make this journey easier for people and to maintain our own brain health.
Yes. Do you have any last words, Jill?
Just thank you so much, and let's just keep talking, keep relating, and getting the word out, and hopefully have people more engaged with those that have the disease. And don't give up on them. They're individuals. They're there.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? My Facebook group on Facebook is #Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. And folks,
I love that.
We need to kick it. And people say, well, how do you kick it, Betsy? It's a disease. By living life. Take your loved one out. Or if you have dementia, go out, enjoy yourself as much as possible. This disease is unpredictable. You don't know when the progression's going to be, and you can't go out and enjoy yourself. Go out and live life. Celebrate every occasion, every birthday, every day. It doesn't matter if your loved one remembers. You remember.
That's right.
You make the memories. Take those videos. Take those pictures. You'll treasure them later on.
And be present. Be present.
Yes.
And absolutely.
You ladies are wonderful. Oh, virtual
well,
hug.
You are too, Betsy. Thank you.
Thank you.
For all the great work you're doing.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Thank you. Folks, you heard today Cynthia Stone, the producer and director of Keys, Bags, Names, Words. Please, the information will be in the blog that Jeannie White, the station manager, writes. Please read the blog to get in touch, to go on the website and find out how you could screen this documentary. And Jill Harmon, thank you for sharing your story, showing your love, showing that deep love connection. I'll tell you, folks, if you're not touched by that, you don't have a heart, is what I got to say.
Oh, jeez.
There's, I'm a Jersey girl. I say it like it is. It is such a connection that unless you have lived it, you don't understand it. But when you watch it on film, it's touching. It is so heart-touching. It's not a sad. I cried because of the relationship that I've had with other people. It reminded me of my husband, my family, and but it's of hope. We can enjoy life. You can enjoy life with your loved one. And And I could go on and on about that, but you all know, if you've heard me, you know how I feel. If you want to know how to enjoy life, you need a support group. Look up hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement on Facebook. I welcome people from all walks of life. Doesn't matter what kind of dementia you have or where you are in life. You are welcome to join the support group. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's CEO of Passionate World Talk Radio, makes this all possible. And again, I want to thank Cynthia Stone for coming on, Jill Harmon, all the people that were in this documentary. Just wonderful. And like as I always say at the end of my show, folks, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright, because we need it now more than ever. And
yes.
Live life. And if you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook, Betsy E. Wurzel, Wurzel. Go on my page. See videos of my husband. See pictures of my son and I. I post about dementia awareness just about every day, and I will not stop until I can no longer function. This is my mission, and please share the show, because I want to reach as many people as possible and help as many people as possible. You're not alone, folks. There's help out there. That's what I'm here for. I provide resources. And, you could just, please, if you don't already subscribe to Chatting with Betsy, I don't know what you're waiting for. I am on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music. It is for free. Please subscribe, because I have wonderful guests on from all different walks of life on all different topics. And I really found this documentary very inspiring. Just talking to Cynthia Stone and Jill Harmon, inspiring. And you will find this documentary inspiring. It just needs to be seen by everyone. And I want to thank everyone for listening. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Until we chat again, be safe. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Betsy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Cynthia. Bye, Jill.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Take care.